Hello, students, whoever's watching this. This video is all about converting between mixed numbers and improper fractions. So the word convert in blue, because that might be a new vocabulary word. Convert basically just means to change. So changing back and forth between things, you're not actually changing the amount or the worth of whatever it is you're changing. You're just kind of representing it different ways. It's kind of like if you've ever been into a grocery store and seen things measured in pounds, sometimes it's helpful to be able to convert that into kilograms. You're not changing the amount, you're just changing how it is shown, I suppose, or miles and kilometers. It's like running a 10-mile race or a 10K are two very different things. Today we're talking about mixed numbers and improper fractions. So over here on the left side, what I've got is basically the value. We're talking about thirds in this example. Each cube is worth 1/3. 3 of them together makes 1 whole. The size doesn't matter, it just happens to be that these cubes are all the same size, and 3 of them put together we're calling 1 whole. So I've got a number of cubes here. Real quickly, go ahead and pause your video and count how many cubes are in this pile right here. Okay, hopefully you have a number, and since you know that each of these is a third, pause your number or pause your screen one more time, pause your video one more time, and see if you can write this as an improper fraction. You know that each is a third. How many would be on the numerator and what number goes in the denominator, the top number and the bottom number? I'll give you just a moment. Okay, so there are 13 cubes here. So fairly simply, what we're going to do is write these 13 cubes as 13. And since we are counting thirds, and each of them is a third, we write it as 13 thirds. Okay? So that's helpful because basically we just said each of these is called a third, and there are 13 of them, so there's 13 thirds. All right? But in real life, sometimes you want to know how many wholes you have. So what I want you to do now is think, if 3 of these makes 1 whole, how many wholes do you have? And if you have any extra left over, how do you write that? Pause your video again, give it your best shot, see how it works out. All right, so what I'm going to do here is start connecting cubes until I get holes here, right? So here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and I have 1 left over. So the way we would write this as a mixed number is 4 and 1/3. Nicely done, guys. So that is converting between an improper fraction, which is any fraction that whose numerator is larger than the denominator, and a mixed number, which is where you have a whole number in combination with a proper fraction. You would never have an improper fraction as part of your answer here because you could always just take that and make it another whole. It'd be like if in the answer I had something that looked like that. This wouldn't make sense, so we wouldn't write this as 3 wholes and 4 thirds. We would write it as 4 wholes, just like this, and 1/3. Okay, for the next problem, what we're going to do, we're going to leave this right here just because this was kind of helpful for us. And this time what I'm going to do is going to give you a certain number of whole numbers and ask you to convert it into an improper fraction. Okay? So in this example now, what I've got displayed is this mixed number. Go ahead, pause your video, see if you can write this as a mixed number. Okay? What you should have written, if you did this correctly, was since we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 groups of 3, and each 3 thirds is 1 whole, that means we have 5 wholes altogether. And this one didn't quite make it, so what that means is we have 2 thirds. Okay? Now, what I want you to do is convert this into an improper fraction. That is going to be a fraction whose numerator is larger than the denominator. You would never have an improper fraction that has a numerator smaller than the denominator. I want to see, if we break all these apart, what is going to be our improper fraction. Pause that and go ahead and see if you can figure it out on your own now. Okay, boys and girls. So if I were to break each of these apart, and I know that each of them is equal, each individual piece is equal to exactly 1/3. Let's see how many we have here. Pretty easy to do. And in fact, I can go ahead and get this ready because I know no matter what, I'm counting thirds, so my denominator is going to be a third. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So we have 17 thirds. 5 2/3 is the same thing as 17 thirds.